Will Sam Wilson and Ian Rogers be able to put their differences aside long enough to save the nation? Of Mohannda from the Wrath of White Wolf? Well, let's hop into the pages of Captain America Symbol of Truth issue number 8 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Sam Wilson had come to the nation of Mohannda in hopes of finding the assassin of the nation's president who was killed at the UN under his watch. As a condition of undertaking this dangerous mission, Sam as Captain America was forced to join forces with Ian Rogers, aka Nomad, aka the estranged son of Steve Rogers, Captain America, and the two men aren't exactly on the same page right now. They keep butting heads over tactics, over their own personal connection to Steve, and it's making this whole mission a lot more difficult. Not that it needed to be more difficult, as the two heroes ended up walking directly into a Mohandan civil war that's currently being puppeteered by White Wolf. White Wolf was of course responsible for the previous Prime Minister's death and wants to use advanced technology and weapons to reinstate some sort of super advanced technological apartheid in the nation. Cap was lucky enough to team up with the local freedom fighters, but still their numbers are very low. While they're certainly happy for the extra help that Cap and Nomad offer, they had assumed that a much bigger cavalry was coming to save them. Sam also admits to Ian that he's not really mad at him, he's more or less still beating himself up over what happened to the Prime Minister, but also what happened to Joaquin the Falcon. And indeed, back in America, that situation continues to develop. Joaquin managed to survive his injuries, but in doing so, he mutated into some sort of horrible man-bird creature. You know, I said in the previous issue that Joaquin shouldn't feel so bad because most of the Captain Americas have been turned into werewolves at some point in their life. Well, keep that joke in the back of your mind because it's actually going to be important later. You see, Cap and Nomad get taken to the Rebels base, wherein we meet some of their high command members. One of them just so happens to be a professor from the local university, who got ousted from academia when she refused to toe White Wolf's brand new line. Here's the interesting thing though, this doctor's research assistant turns out to be none other than Tilda Johnson, aka the supervillain Nightshade. Nightshade actually has a really long history both as a Luke Cage villain and as a Captain America villain. In fact, when she first debuted, she was called the Werewolf Queen, and she was the one who actually turned Steve into a wolf. She turned Sam into one too, and he's still very distrustful of her because of that. But here's an interesting thing, it actually looks like Tilda has tried to turn things around recently. She was actually one of the people who tried to use that whole Wakandan Forever Asylum program to turn over a new leaf and start a fresh life in another nation wherein she would be free of her supervillainous past. But, of course, as we all know, Sam kind of inadvertently ended up ruining that for everybody, including Nightshade, who still very much holds a grudge against him. Why is she here now, though? Well, a bunch of the people who tried to take Wakanda up on their offer ended up getting stranded when their asylum was revoked. The nearest nation taking people in was Mohannda, and surprise, surprise, but Nightshade actually liked it here. She got a job, she made friends, and now she's actively dedicated to saving this place from White Wolf. And honestly, as the comic comes to an end, it looks like they are indeed going to need all the help they can get, as the army has already blown up a local hospital, elevating the conflict much further than anyone could ever have thought. And so that was Captain America Symbol of Truth, issue number 8, everybody, and once again, I really enjoy what Tochi Onyebuchi is doing here. This new arc really has a theme of starting over and new beginnings, which I really enjoy. It also forces Sam to confront this idea that as Captain America, his actions will always end up having more ripple effects than he could ever imagine. I also like the idea that poor Joaquin is going through his own Cap Wolf type scenario at a time when they actually bring back the original Werewolf Queen herself. You just know these two stories have to be related to one another. It's also a really good use of Nightshade too, who's always been a very interesting female villain of color who technically has been in the MCU twice already, but that's a long, complicated story. I actually hope she sticks around after this arc is over. I think she would make a really interesting addition to Sam's ever-growing cast of supporting characters as Captain America. Overall, though, I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Pretty solid. I feel like we kind of already got the hint that Sam and Ian weren't getting along in the previous issue, and yet so much of this one is devoted to that story. Again, nothing particularly wrong about it. I just would have liked to seen them move on to the next thing a little sooner.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cave Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time, everyone, I've been Cape Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.